Hello, my name is Chris Cordova. I'm the Financial Wellness Coordinator with Foundation Communities. And right now I'm going to be reviewing your income and expenses. This is really going over information that you're going to find on a paycheck. And when you get that information and kind of figure out how you're getting paid and where that money is coming from. Also, we're also going to be talking about expenses and where that money goes once you earned it. So we're talking about income, and our key takeaway here is understanding your income. That is the first step to using it to meet your needs. So what is income? Income is money that you receive. Now, there are different types of income that you can receive, so we're going to go ahead and review that at this time. Types of income include earned income, income from assets or investments. That's maybe some rental properties or maybe some stocks you have invested in and the income that you're receiving there. Public benefits or entitlements that pay money out, and other benefits or other entitlements and other incomes. So that brings us to gross and net income. So your gross income is the total income without any deductions taken out. Your net income is your gross income, the big number, minus any deductions. And that's what you have to save, share, or spend. Your net income is also referred to as your take-home pay. So there is your gross income minus deductions, and that equals your net income, and that's the money that you have to deposit and that you have access to within your bank. Now, sometimes the deductions that are taken out are referred to as garnishments. Now, there's three types. There's wage garnishments, account garnishments, and treasury offsets. These can be taken from anything such as money owed to the IRS or possibly money owed to the Attorney General's office, which is taken from your paycheck every month. Now, what are ways you can be paid money? Ways to receive income in small groups include cash, paper checks, direct deposits, payroll cards, and electronic benefits transferred, also referred to as EBT cards. So cash, that's just cash, paper cash that's paid after doing some work. A paper check, so that's a check that's written out to you once that is completed. And then we also have a direct deposit. Those are our funds that go directly into your account. Now, there are such things, some employers work with payroll cards where funds go from the employer directly onto the payroll card on a specific pay date. Then the EBT, that's kind of more of your setup of more of electronic benefits transfer, which is used a lot on SNAP cards and sometimes on unemployment benefits. Now, understanding your pay statements. This is a typical pay statement information, usually consists of your personal information like your name, your date of birth, possibly a social security number, the pay period, the pay dates, the dates involved in which you actually did the work. Then there's the pay date, the date that that check is actually processed and received to you or expected to get received to you. And then we have the gross pay. The gross pay is that total amount. Then you will see deductions, and then you'll see your net pay, which is also referred to as your take home. We also have your employer contributions if they're doing any matching as far as a 401k or retirement program. So let's go ahead and talk about deductions right now. Now there's some required deductions that most employers are going to have to participate in, and that's referred to as the Social Security and Medicare FICA documents taken out. And then there's going to be your income tax. So that can be your federal or your state or local. Here in Texas, it's primarily your federal income tax that is withheld. Now we have our elective voluntary deductions, And these are such as insurance premiums, union dues, retirement accounts, contributions, charitable contributions, and direct deposits. These are things that at the time of your hire, you agree that are going to be taken out of your paycheck every month. Now, when it comes to income tax withholding, the IRS usually has a W-4, and this possibly state and local income tax forms as well. So the more you withhold, usually the lower your take-home pay is. And if you don't have as many people that you're claiming on your taxes, this is the less money it's reduced withholding, the higher your take-home pay will be every pay period. So be careful not to have too little withheld because then you're going to need to pay that back at the end of the year. Now, if you receive an IRS W-2 form, you're usually an employee, or if you have an IRS form 1099 miscellaneous, you're usually considered to be self-employed or a contractor. Understand how you are being paid. You may have to pay taxes yourself if you are under the self-employed independent contract status. Consider putting money aside for the future and keep accurate records of everything. You definitely want to make sure that you are putting money aside if you are an independent contractor for the end of the year. So therefore, if you have to pay the IRS money while preparing your taxes, you're not having to pay too much. And yeah, definitely keep records so that you are paying just the right amount in taxes. Now there is tracking your income, which is your regular income, unpredictable income, seasonal income, and one-time income. Regular income is income that you're receiving from employment. Unpredictable income may come like every so often. Then there's seasonal, say you have a part-time job or you're doing something at a specific point of the year. And then there's your one-time income that you may receive on a one-time basis. So remember that the key takeaway here is understanding your income, and that is the first step to using it to meet your needs. Now we're going to take a look at some expenses. Now when it comes to your expenses, our key takeaway here is to understand what our expenses are. That will help you decide how to save, share, and spend your income. So there are different ways to use your income, and then we have to figure out what people do with their money and how people are spending their money. So here we have some pictures, some photos. We have a family purchasing clothes. We have a home that's for rent. We have a family shopping for food. And then we have a guy here experiencing an emergency. So he's trying to figure out how he's going to pay for that. So think about how you use your money. So it's either under saving it, such as saving it for an emergency, saving it for a personal goal that we have, sharing it with your family, sharing it with friends, or sharing it with a nonprofit that is doing good in the community, or then there is spending it. And when it comes to spending it, we're going to take a look and see where our money goes and how we're spending those funds. So ways to think about your expenses, they should be broken down into needs, wants, and obligations. When we talk about needs, these are things you must have to live. This is your rent, this is your housing, this is the food for your table, this is the clothing, these are your non-negotiables, these are the things you must have in order to live. Now we're talking about our wants. These are things that you would like to have, things you desire, but ultimately you can live without those items. Then we have our obligations, debts that we owe. So you, at one point, you may have a debt, you may have a credit card debt, a student loan debt, maybe that mortgage. These are things, a vehicle you agreed at some point to pay on, and now that they're now considered obligations every month. So now you're obligated to make sure that you're paying that. So there are a few ways to look at the needs, wants, and obligations. And this is always a good way to decipher what where your money is going and if it's under a need, a want, or obligation. So you can find less expensive ways to meet your needs. You can use less money for wants, or you can negotiate lower payments for obligations. You always want to ask yourself, can you do these things? Now, if you receive public benefits, these are your SNAP program, this is unemployment. Learn about resources and assets limits. Monitor how your spending and saving affects countable assets. Use income in ways that avoid exceeding limits. So usually when you're receiving public benefits, they come with rules, definitely about the amount of assets you can hold if you're receiving these benefits. So you have to make sure that you are keeping in line with their rules, and so you can continue to receive these items and these benefits. It's also important to track your expenses. When you do track your expenses, it helps you understand if you're using your money in line with your values and your goals, and it uncovers where you can make changes. And it can also help you spend less money. So it's tracking exactly where your money is going. And you can do this in a few ways. You can just write it down with pen and paper and write down every expense you have for that month. You can create a spreadsheet on a computer, or you can even use an app for your phone where you can track those expenses. A lot of apps, bank apps, find out if any financial institutions you may use have access to a bank app where you can then utilize that in order to track where your money is going every month. Now, it's going to come to managing your expenses. This helps you avoid late fees. This also, when you're managing your expenses, it's having you avoid interest on unpaid balances, negative credit report entries, loss of services, such as you don't pay your phone bill on time and it gets cut off, then you have to pay more money to get it reconnected. Additional charges with loss of services. So these are things you want to be aware of when it comes to managing your expenses. Now, when it comes to paying your bills, there's a number of ways to do this. You could do it in person, by mail, or possibly electronically through financial institutions, credit card websites, through an entity you owe money to, or bill paying services, or maybe possibly via your phone, through an app, or by calling the agency or organization you owe money to. Now, remember, the key takeaway here is understand your expenses. That will help you decide how to save, share, and spend your income. So now that we know how our income works and how our expenses work, it's time to take action. So let's go ahead and ask ourselves, what am I going to do? How will I do it? And will I share my plan with anyone? If so, who? Do I have friends or family members that I can talk with, or maybe some trusted individuals that can hold me accountable or that I can check in with at any time? If you want to go ahead and continue the conversation about this, you can follow up with Foundation Communities, set up a financial coaching appointment. You can just give us a call at 737-717-4000. Foundation Communities can help you figure out your income and your expenses and find out ways for you to track where your money is going and how you can make the most of your income. Thank you very much. My name is Chris Cordova, and I will talk to you later.